Going to visit today with our good friend Mike Throne from the Chillicothe-Ross Chamber of Commerce. We'll talk about the downtown open house and some other things that are going on across the area that might be impacting our economy. More details in just a moment, but first, this. Thanks again for joining us, Mike. Mike Throne with the Chillicothe-Ross Chamber of Commerce, President and CEO. Last time you and I truly sat down and talked about what's going on here in Chillicothe, we were talking about the reopening of Chillicothe, and now we're on the precipice of a possibility of being shut down again in some fact.
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously the governor came out very strongly last week with the need and the necessity to really reverse the trend. The trend has been going upward, and I think radically upward over the last several weeks. If you go back in Ross County, I think we had almost 775 new cases in October. And I think the first 7 days of November was around 158 cases. So, I mean, and I haven't taken a real close look at the last week or so, but that trend didn't seem to slow much, at least. So I think the governor's in a bad spot because he's obviously made some very strong statements. On one hand, he said, if we don't see a slowdown in this trend by next week, we're going to have to shut it down again. But then in another part of the same statement, he said, it takes weeks to really see a real slowdown in the trend. So it really is going to be difficult, I think, to not take some sort of action this week. Now, what that action might be could be as simple as moving bars and restaurants to carry out and delivery only. It could be, doing another lockdown. I mean, it could be anything. And I think it's all speculation at this point. I think if I had to make a call right now, I think we'll probably see more of the certain and select businesses being moved to carry out and delivery only. And then, if things don't continue to turn around after Thanksgiving, then we could be all working from home again. So it's a tough spot, I think, for the governor. I think in many regards, he's tried to look at science and make decisions based on data. But at the same time, it's just really, really hard for our small businesses and our economy when these businesses can't be open and they can't do the business they need to do.
Yeah, and he has followed up with that and speaking yesterday that I don't want to shut down businesses. I want to slow down. So maybe leaning at that direction you mentioned, hopefully is no further than it goes than that. So, yeah. That's a conversation for after the governor speaks later today. Let's jump into the holiday cheer. You are attempting a bit of a slowdown by not holding the tree lighting ceremony and things that we normally have for the downtown open house in Chillicothe.
Yeah, I mean, that was a really tough call. We really tried to wait as long as we could to try to pull off a lighting ceremony. But, it's just not wise or in the best interest of public safety to bring 1,000 people into downtown in close contact to each other. We can't guarantee that people are wearing masks. We can't guarantee that people are distancing. So we decided that we would scrap the lighting ceremony this year. I actually just came from the park where we moved Santa's house into place. It's not in its normal place as well. We moved it down into the park so we could have a drive-up option for folks. Santa's not going to be allowing any of the kids and parents into the Santa house this year. We'll be meeting them at their cars, hearing from them, getting any letters that they want to give to Santa. Santa will have a candy cane for everybody and things like that. So it's a lot different of an experience, but we try to be as responsible as we could be. We try to be as safe as we could be while still providing the experience of meeting and seeing Santa. Now, that said, all the lights are happening downtown. In fact, I just came from there, and the big tree's being decorated as we speak. There's a lot of work happening right there. I actually just saw, we actually have 2 companies working this year. The local contractor, Bright Solutions of Ohio, is doing a lot of the work on the big tree and in the shelter houses down in the park. And then Light Up Columbus is doing the trees in Bicentennial Park, and then the entrance to the park, and then some trees on Water Street as well. So we're actually spending a little bit more money this year to try to make it a little bit better of an experience. But we're also trying to also make sure that, that we're giving everybody what they want for the holiday. We're trying to make it a little bit special if we can, to make sure that folks can enjoy their holiday and get something in a year where we've kind of had a lot of things taken away.
Yeah. One thought on the Santa change. There's a select group of kids who provide us with a great deal of those entertaining photos that don't want to sit on Santa's lap, that are probably going to be happy this year.
Yeah. My wife takes great joy in those photos. That sheer terror is on their face. So my wife will be a little disappointed, but my kids, for the most part, all of them were in that same boat where it was like, I don't want to go see Santa, at least for a little while. So,
and we got to say a positive about all of this is we've got a great Santa who over the years has provided a great deal of services to downtown. So very anxious to see him make his return again. How are things changing then? Do you expect a number of people to still, I mean, the last 2 years, it has been jam-packed downtown on Friday night, but I got to think that might be lessened without the big ceremony.
Yeah, I think that's probably going to have something to do with it. The thing that we've tried to tell people is a lot of times folks came out for that tree lighting ceremony and then they grabbed a bite to eat and they went shopping. And we're not saying in any way, shape, or form that you shouldn't do that, but maybe it's time to think about how you spread that out for the entire holiday season. We're going to be going from November 20th until Christmas Eve, of course. Santa will be down in the park from November 20th to December 20th. But of course, obviously the holiday season goes all the way to Christmas Eve. So that's plenty of opportunity to come down to downtown Chillicothe and to go out to the shops on Bridge Street, things like that, and go out and get your holiday shopping done. We're really trying to encourage people to gift thoughtfully this year with intention with our downtown local merchants, our small businesses that are located throughout the county, because those are the ones that have been hardest hit by COVID and the shutdowns and the reopening restrictions. So we're hoping that if you can't come out on the 20th through the 22nd, that if you're still in the thought process of giving gifts, that you'll spread that out sometime during that holiday season and visit those local merchants and really try to focus on supporting those small businesses, because really those are the folks that we're most concerned about. The big box retailers and folks like that, they're going to be okay. They might have seen a slowdown a little bit, but I can't tell it when I go to some of them. But at the same time, those small businesses are the ones that have smaller places where there's restrictions on how many people they can allow inside the place. And then, for bars and restaurants, it's really about being shut down earlier and not having the opportunities that, were normally presented to them. So we're really kind of hoping that people extend their holiday experience this year and go, as deep into that holiday season as they can.
I know many of us have been cheerleaders for downtown because of all the exciting things that have been happening there the last few years, but there are shops in Bainbridge, there's shops in Kingston and Richmond-Dale that also need to have your support.
Yep, absolutely. One of the things that I think folks don't think about is, our downtown merchants get a lot more foot traffic than the small shops in Frankfort and Kingston and Bainbridge and Richmond-Dale. They get because, folks kind of know about the city. They go to the city. They may have gone to some of these villages in the past, but they're not thinking of them top of mind right now. And so we're trying to help those folks as well. That's why Small Business Saturday, which is actually November the 28th this year, we're really going to try to emphasize out into the county and outside of downtown, in addition to downtown, but really emphasizing the full experience of county-wide shopping, because we think it's really, really important for folks to understand, small business is a $120 billion business across the country. And we don't have the exact numbers for Ross County on that, but it's a big number as well. And in a year when we're seeing sales tax numbers still at record highs, we want to try to keep that going throughout December. So that way we can enter 2021 with a little momentum, and hopefully as a vaccine emerges and other things start to emerge, maybe we'll see a slowdown, and maybe we can at least get back to some sort of new normal sometime in maybe the spring or the early summer.
Yeah. Fingers are crossed for 2021 to be something far better than 2020. And you don't have to go too far for that, really, to make it better. We're having a great deal of success despite the shutdown and things that have happened. I know you mentioned to me just a moment ago that the tax revenues were looking like they have got some record numbers from the summertime this year. And who would have thought that, jumping into a pandemic?
Yeah, I think March and April were the months that really we saw a slowdown, which of course was around the beginning of the shutdown. So that wasn't too much of a surprise. I think the way that we bounced back was a surprise to me. And, in my discussions with the county auditor, Tom Spetnagle Jr., I mean, we can't really point to one thing. The housing market's doing really pretty well. The auto market seems to be doing well, but we couldn't just base it on those two things alone in terms of why sales tax revenues are up. The thing that I can attribute it to is that, Chillicothe is one of those sort of pull around your neighbor, get close to them when they're struggling. That's the type of community that we have here. And I think, it really was representative of the county to say, we'll get that delivery, we'll get that carry out, we'll shop for something for a birthday or a graduation gift or whatever locally, rather than hitting the online sites that are run by corporations that, they don't support our youth sports teams. They don't support the fundraisers and, donate items for auction and things like that. I think that's, it really kind of made it more clear to us that when we support small business, we're really supporting us. And the employees that are employed there are local people. And, I think those things combine to kind of make things a little bit better. So I think July and August were incredibly good months for Ross County on the sales tax side. But at the same time, we still know that, there's a lot of small businesses that haven't recovered from the shutdown, and then the reopening guidelines have made it so they're not meeting that revenue year over year.
And you can still use the old backup plan of, hey, if you don't want to buy a product, buy some services through gift cards and things of that sort. Check with your local merchants to see what types of gift cards they make available, because that comes in really handy.
Maybe that's somebody calling right now to.
That could be. Very well could be. Before we wrap up, last year, the addition of the ice skating rink downtown, that will be back this year down by the Mighty Children's Museum, correct?
Yeah, one thing that I probably should mention about both the carriage rides and the ice skating rink. So Ivy's Home and Garden at the corner of Water and Paint have been incredibly generous over the years to provide the carriage rides for the downtown open house. They're doing them again this year, but they are by reservation only. And so you're going to want to call Ivy's and make sure that they have some reservations open. The last time that I talked with them, they had it reserved for this weekend or the weekend of the 20 through the 22nd. And then they were thinking about doing, I think, the weekend before Christmas as well. They have some ability to maybe do some other time slots on weekends between those two dates, but they're sort of gauging what the interest is going to be. So we're really encouraging folks to make a reservation with Ivy's, at least call them and find out whether or not they're going to have those beyond the downtown open house weekend. As far as the skating rink goes, they're still sort of ironing out quite a bit of that, but obviously they're going to have some concerns about distancing folks, and they are going to require masks and things like that, at least at a portion of what they're doing. So you're going to want to call Mighty Children's Museum and also get whatever information that you need to make sure that you have a spot and that you can have a safe and a good time for those two things. So they're going to be provided. They're going to be there. In fact, the ice skating rink is going to be open until mid-January, and it might actually extend into February. City Council wanted the ability to be able to say, let's extend you for a month rather than just committing to go all the way to February. So we'll definitely see it through the middle of January, and hopefully that'll allow folks to maybe even extend it out. Maybe if you are trying to get there before the holiday and you can't get there, maybe you still have that opportunity after the first of the year. So it's an exciting time for downtown. It's not what we would want it to be. If it were up to all of us, I think we would just do what we normally do. But it's a different time, and we recognize that, and we can all have a safe and a fun time. But we gotta try to slow the spread and keep doing the things that we need to do to try to knock COVID down a little bit, so that way we can get back to some sort of new normal.
And I have to be one to admit that putting on the mask and walking outside, it's a pleasure when this wind chill kicks in. I stepped out and I thought, hey, it feels a little warmer. I like that. So maybe that will encourage us to also don the mask as well. Mike Throne, he is the CEO and president of the Chillicothe-Ross Chamber of Commerce. And as always, if someone has questions, they can go to your website and learn more.
Absolutely. ChillicotheOhio.com. We're adding content there all the time. So we're more than happy to spread the word. And if you have information, please send it to us as well.
All right. Thanks for your time, and happy holidays.
Happy holidays, Dan.